All right, so this is my thought process to achievement. Being an expert in failure for 26 years, I learned a lot. So this is what's helped me and kind of the mechanics that go into it. So I start with goals and I chunk them down. So I have a larger goal, kind of a long-term goal. Chunk that down, chunk it down, chunk it down, reverse engineer it to a smaller short-term goal. Then I move on to an approach and a strategy to achieve the goal. So we've got who is an expert in this. Tim Ferriss does a great job of diving into the best in their fields, the maneuvers that they use to get better, and I just learn from them and then try to perfect that. So he's one example of an expert learning and interviewing experts. What are their daily rituals and habits? How can I mold these habits to my situation to help me achieve whatever I want to achieve? There's also mechanics. How do you do the thing? And we'll get into that a little bit later. But after the approach and the strategy, I move on to the morning habits. And these can be habits throughout the day as well. And disciplines. So you've got physiology. Tony Robbins talks about that a lot. But I do these things. Conscious belly breathing. And that goes down into focus. And I turn that focus into 10 minutes of 30 breaths and 10 breaths per item. The items are right here. Gratitude. I just let my thoughts sink into gratitude rather than writing them down. I found that intellectually writing them down isn't the same effect as actually letting it come and kind of fill you up. So 10 big belly breaths for gratitude, 10 big belly breaths focusing on actionable affirmations. So it's not I want $1 million, it's something that's taking me back to one of these goals, leading to the larger goal. Visualization. So visualization is I'm stepping into that goal. How does it feel? The venue that I'm at, the clothes that I'm wearing, the people that I'm talking to. So 10 breaths per, totaling 30, and that takes me about 10 to 12 minutes. Also within the physiology, you've got movement. So I do what Max Schenk has popularized through his discovery of the 5-minute flow. Now I add in daily push-ups, and I've got daily band pull-aparts on top of my regular weightlifting training. But movement first thing in the morning, that gets the blood flowing. Another one is journaling. So I'm getting my thoughts on paper, emptying my mind to start the day. So I've got a motivational video on, I've got maybe someone talking in the background while I'm just kind of in my morning ritual, and I kind of use that as a springboard to start writing. Sometimes it's just retyping what they're saying, but also other times it gets me on my own little tangent and I get going a little bit. So that's a little, you're breathing, you're moving, and the movement helps you get creative. You're kind of allowing creativity to flow through these processes. Execution and action. It's just do it. The F stands for a curse word, right? JFDI. You can figure that one out. Just do it. Now within all this, we have, and I didn't come up with this, someone a little smarter than me did, but I was talking to the graduate assistant that helps with all the athletes here at the Coach State. He pictorially drew this out. So he's like, it starts in the middle and it works itself out. And I didn't really understand what he was talking about. And then he drew this. He says, this is the larger goal. And then it just keeps working itself out. So you're here, with your habits and your disciplines. And every time you complete them, your daily habits over time, you make that circle, you move in. It's like a checkpoint. You go around, you go around, and you go around. What happens when you get to the larger goal? Like I tell a lot of the athletes the Zen story, the chop wood, carry water. So once you reach enlightenment or reach your goal, continue on. There's more, there's another goal, there's more to learn and more to improve on. Master yourself. That's the one thing that drives my life. Mastering myself so that I can help others. The more I master myself, the more lessons I can help serve others and give value. So, master one thing, you can understand everything. Because in one thing, there's an approach and a process that goes into it. So that's what that means. Going into the power of habit, that's a book by Charles Duhigg. He's got a cue, talks about the cue, routine, and the reward. So for me, morning habits and disciplines, simply waking up is my cue to start. Now another cue is putting on the music and or video to set in place the routine of the conscious belly breathing, the movement, and the journal. My cue actually for journaling is the finishing of my conscious belly breathing. Once I finish that, I immediately go into my journal. I actually start with movement, then belly breathing, and then journal. That's my step-by-step process in the morning. And then the reward is just feeling good afterwards. So there's a cue, a routine, and a reward in every habit. O.G. Mandino from The Greatest Salesman in the World talks about we're slaves to our habits. And that's important to know, but it's also important to know the mechanics of habits so that you can reverse engineer your habits through proper cues. If you can cue yourself with a song, every time you hear the song, you start a routine. If you send a text, you can send recurring text messages at the same time. I just learned today. Let's say on Mondays and Wednesdays you have a break from 12 to 1, which I do. That I could have a message sent. It could be something inspirational or whatever it is, to set the routine in place to write a mind map and make a video, right? And the reward is, you send it out and someone says, man, I really got something from that. But you can reverse engineer however you want. The reward is also mind candy. It feels good. Mind candy is something I got from one of my mentors, Jed Smith, he's a strength and conditioning coach at Northern Iowa. Started every session with his teams with mind candy, something to fill up their mind. Habit is myelination. The more you do your habit, it's this repetition. It's like squatting in the gym. It's like riding a bike. The more you do it, the better you get at it. You're layering the white part in your brain, if I got that right. If I got it wrong, you guys can correct me. And you're myelinating the white part in your brain. It makes it thicker every time you do this. Every time you do your habits in the morning, you're myelinating. The last part, move this little black dumbbell. And this is something this is another thing Coach AJ gave me. What's the root of motivation? Because I say motivation is BS. The root of motivation is motive. What's motive? Motive is your why. Starting with why. Simon Sinek, he's got a book. If you haven't read that by now, I encourage you to read that. So, if you get your order of operations incorrect in algebra, you're going to come up with the wrong answer. Sometimes you can come up with the right answer, but do the order of operations wrong. But you can get lucky in life by starting with motivation, but the approach and the strategy is what is important. You want to be able to get to whatever goal you want as often as you can, and that starts with why. My why is mastering myself so I can serve others. and give value. So if I start with that and not motivation, I'm going to get there. If I start with motivation, motivation's fleeting. When I woke up at 3:45 on Sunday night, I did not want to get out of bed. I had no motivation. My why got me out of bed. If your why is strong enough, the how will get taken care of. Friedrich Nietzsche, he who has a why can bear any how. It's not he who has the most motivation can do anything. He who has a why can bear any how. So this is my approach, how I view things in terms of getting from point A to point B. It seems complex, but it isn't. I mean, this morning stuff takes me 30 minutes at most. You gotta have a strategy. You can't just go through life like a zombie. Start with goals, chunk it down to a smaller one, have an approach and a strategy, find people who've done it before and who are experts, and perfect their maneuvers and their practices. Mold it to your situation. Develop disciplines, preferably things that are starting with physiology first. And at the end of the day, you just got to execute and act. If you're an information collector, you're not going to get much accomplished. You got to take action. Vision without action is a hallucination. That's why we need to start with why, but you have to just do it, right? Vision without action is a hallucination. Motivation's BS. Start with why. And it's a long journey. You don't get there in one day. That is the first one. Coach G, I'm out.